Well, hello, my young grasshoppers. We are going to be learning some new stuff today. We're going to be learning about the quadratic formula. We're not going to be doing the whole thing. We're just going to be doing a critical part called the discriminant this week. So, what I need you to do, make sure you have your piece of paper ready to go. And we're going to do some review to start. So, with your piece of paper, I need you to factor these four quadratics. Now remember, we are factoring. I'll give you this little hint. Your final answer should be like the thing in the two parentheses. You know what I mean? Okay, there's no shortcut. You got to do the process. Okay, so go and pause the video and complete these four. All right, let's look at number one. Nothing to divide out, so start a propeller. And for this one, multiplies to be negative 70 and adds up to be negative 3. Now you go through the process of finding it. The magic numbers, though, are 7 and negative 10. 7 times negative 10 is negative 70. 7 plus negative 10 is negative 3. Okay, so you put out your wings. Remember, we start with this part without the exponent. So it'd be 1a and 1a. And then the magic numbers we found, the side numbers from our propeller, go next. So I have plus 7 and I have minus 10. And then we land our plane. What can I divide out? 1. What can I divide out? 1. 1 times 1 is 1, so I'm good. And I have my final factors of a plus 7 and a minus 10. Okay, for number 2, start our propeller. 7 times negative 4 is negative 28, adds up to be 12. Okay, the two magic numbers for this one are negative 2 and positive 14. Negative 2 times 14 is negative 28. Negative 2 plus 14 is 12. So, put my wings out. Remember, we start with this without the exponent of 2. So I just start with 7x. Then my magic numbers come next. So minus 2 and plus 14. And I look for what I can divide out. 7 and 2, just a 1. There's nothing I can divide out. 7 and 14, I can divide by 7. Okay, and make sure your two wheels, 1 times 7, okay, those should multiply to be 7, that a value every single time. And let's go ahead and finish it off. So dividing by 1 stays the same. Divide these by 7, I would get 1x or x plus 2. And those would be my two factors. Okay, for number 3, magic numbers. 4 times 3 is 12. Adds up to be negative 7. Well, I got to use negative times a negative here. It's negative 3 times negative 4. That are the two. Put my wings out. Again, remember, we start with the front without the exponent of 2. So we got 4k and 4k. And then our magic numbers fill in the rest of it. Minus 3, minus 4. Okay, look for what you can divide out. Put our wheels down. 4 and 3, there's nothing, so I divide by 1. 4 and 4, I can divide by 4. And remember, the two wheels should multiply to be the a value. So in this case, 1 times 4 is 4. That's good. Now, I'm going to divide these out. So I'm going to get 4k minus 3. And when I divide these by 4, I get k minus 1. Okay. Last one. Okay, nothing to divide out. So I start my propeller. 6 times 8 is 48. And it adds up to be 19. Well, for this one, we'll go through the process because we might not have known this one. 1 times 48 is 48. 1 plus 48 is 49. Not it. Next number is 2. 48 divided by 2 is 24. So 2 times 24 is 48, but 2 plus 24 is 26. Next number is 3. 48 divided by 3 is 16. And looky there, we have it. 3 and 16. Now, Let's go ahead and put our wings out. And again, we're starting with this without the exponent of 2. So 6x and 6x. Then our magic numbers fill in the rest of it. So plus 3, plus 16. I have to look at this. 6 and 3, I can divide those both by 3. 6 and 16 are both even. I can divide those both by 2. And if I look at my tires, my wheels, 3 times 2 is 6. Okay, it came out to that number like it's supposed to. So I just got to divide this out. So dividing by 3, that'd be 2x plus 1. On the second one, dividing by 2, that would be 3x plus 8. And I'm done. Okay, so that's factoring. Okay, the other thing that we've learned recently is solve by factoring. And this is the one where we had that little shortcut you could use. You could use the zero property and solve your factors, or you could use that shortcut. I'm going to write the shortcut down here. It's opposite of your magic numbers divided by whatever the a value is. And I'm going to be using the shortcut when I do it. It's okay whichever way you do it, but you need to pause the video, and I need you to complete these 4 problems. All right. Now, it does have to be equal to 0 first. So this first one, that's already done. I'm good to go. So let's go ahead and get our magic numbers. 3 times 2 is 6. Adds up to be negative 5. So I use negative times a negative. Okay. Now for this one, the a value is 3. So I have opposite divided by my a value. So there's one answer. Opposite, so that turns into positive 3, divided by the a value. So 3 divided by 3 is 1. So my 2 answers for number 5 are 2/3 and 1. Number 6, already equal to 0. Nothing to divide out. Start your propeller. Multiplies to be 6, adds to be 5. So I have 2 times 3. Well, the a value in this one is 1. So I have opposite divided by the a value. So negative 2. Opposite divided by the a value. So that'd be negative 3. So my 2 answers for number 6 are negative 2 and negative 3. Now with number 7, we have to be careful that we don't just automatically go and do the problem, because we actually need to make it equal to 0 first. So I have to move this over. Minus 14x. And I make sure I put it in the right spot. It goes x squared, then x, then my number. So multiplies to be 48. Adds up to be negative 14. Now, this one might take you a little while to find if you don't think of it. You do have to remember we're going to use negative times a negative here. So negative times a negative, this would be negative 6 and negative 8, or what we would use. Okay. Now, the a value that we're dealing with here is 3. So I have opposite 6 divided by 3. So one of my answers is 2. Opposite 8 divided by 3. And I can leave it like that, or I could write it as a decimal. Either way is fine. But my 2 answers are 2 and 8/3. Number 8 is similar. I have got to make it equal to 0. So let's move all this stuff to the left. So plus 20n on both sides, so that's 0. Plus 12 on both sides, so that's 0. And I'm left with 3n squared plus 20n plus 12 equals 0. Well, start your propeller. Multiplies to be 36, adds up to be 20. And the 2 magic numbers are 2 and 18. 2 times 18 is 36. 2 plus 18 is 20. Again, man, I must have been excited about these a values at 3. So I have an a value of 3 again. So opposite divided by my a value. That's done. Opposite divided by my a value. That'd be -6. So two answers for this one are -2/3 and -6. Okay. Now we'll try to keep hitting on that stuff as we go forward. You'll probably do a little practice on it next week also, because that is a critical part to remember as you go forward in math, is being able to solve a quadratic and being able to factor a quadratic. We're going to be talking about today, my young grasshoppers, is the wonderful, wonderful, wonderful quadratic formula. Now, the quadratic formula is actually the most comprehensive way of solving a quadratic. It works no matter what. Okay? Here's the reality. If I was going to solve using factoring, I actually have to be able to factor. I have to be able to get magic numbers. And there are problems that those don't exist on. Well, how do we solve those? We have this method. Now, we're going to be talking about the discriminant today, and that's a special part of the quadratic formula. So here's the quadratic formula. Okay, our answer x equals -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, and that whole thing is divided by 2a. Okay, that is the entire quadratic formula. What we're going to focus on this week is just utilizing the discriminant. And the discriminant is this part, the square root. Okay. Now, by getting this answer, we actually kind of know how many solutions that we have. So with our problems today, we are going to be using just this part. Now, if you're forgetting, or it's a little different, we haven't spent as much time with this, but if you're thinking, okay, Mr. Lone, I have no idea what's this ABC deal about. Remember, if we are looking at a quadratic, ax squared plus bx plus c. Remember, for solving, it has to say equal to 0. Okay? The a, the b, and the c are the numbers in front of those. Okay? It's the same way how we're getting our x. We multiply a and c on top. Okay? When we're doing this, when we did number 5 here, we took 3 and 2 to multiply together to get the top number. Sorry. And the b was the bottom number. That's the same a, b, and c that we're using here. Okay? Now, here are the 3 scenarios. When you do your discriminant, one of 3 things is going to happen. You're either going to get a square root of a positive number, and if that's the situation, you're going to get 2 solutions. And that's what we've seen primarily. Okay? You could get the square root of 0. And if that happens, there's going to be 1 solution. And, excuse me, you could get the square root of a negative number. Okay? And if that happens, there's going to be no real solutions. Okay? Because using real numbers, we can't get answers for this. Okay? So example, you might have square root of 20 or square root of 36. Okay? Now, square root of 20 doesn't come out perfectly, so when we use this, we would actually approximate it with our calculators and just kind of round it to the 10th. Okay? And some of them come out perfect, like square root of 36 is 6. Okay, so let me go ahead and type in square root of 20. It'd be approximately 4.5 if I just round it to the 10th. Okay? Now, with the 1 solution, there's only 1 possibility. Square root of 0. That's it. Okay? And square root of 0 is 0. Now, the one that kind of trips us up is when we have a negative there. Okay? So square root of negative 15. Square root of negative 49. Okay. Now, I want you, if you have a calculator, you can use a different tab and open it up. I want you to type in square root of negative 15. And if you're using a calculator and you type in the square root of negative 15, more than likely it's going to say something like domain error, or it'll give you some sort of an error message. The reason why is we can't do that with real numbers. Okay. And since we can't square root that utilizing real numbers, we would just go ahead and say our actual answer then is going to be no real solution. Okay. If your calculator is doing something with an I, if it brings up the letter I stands for imaginary. So it becomes an imaginary number. What we need to make sure we do at this point is whenever we get our discriminant, we have to pause. If we have a negative in here, you've got to stop. You're done. Okay, so let's look at how this would be. Now remember, you've got to make sure it's equal to 0. So let's go ahead and just use a discriminant and let's figure out how many answers we have. So make this equal to 0. So we're going to minus 5 on both sides. And I get 5x squared plus 4x. Put those together, it'd be plus 6 equals 0. Well, right now, my A would be 5, my B would be 4, and my C would be 6. And we're going to deal with the discriminant. Remember, the B squared minus 4AC. So when I put this in here, B squared, be 4 squared minus 4 times A times C. And it is critically important that you put this 4 inside parentheses or you will make mistakes. 4 squared is 16. I multiply these out. So negative 4 times 5 times 6. Negative 4 times 5 times 6. I get negative 120. And then I combine these. And I get 16 minus 120 to be negative 104. Okay, so I pause. I have a negative inside of my square root. Okay, I would have no real solutions. Okay, there are 0 solutions for this. Okay, number 2. Now this one's already set up equal to 0 for us, so we can get our A is 5, our B is 10, our C is negative 13. And let's go ahead and do that part. I will not always write this down, but for these first couple I will. B squared minus 4AC. So B squared, 10 squared minus 4 times 5 times negative 13. 10 squared is 100. And then we do need to multiply these 3. So negative 4 times 5 times negative 13. And I get positive 260. I add these up, and I get the square root of 360. Well, guess what? I have a positive value there. So I know this is going to have 2 solutions. I don't know what they are yet, but I know there's going to be 2 of them. Okay? And we'll work on, next week, we'll work on actually getting these solutions. Okay? Let's look at number 3 and 4. Okay? Now, if you feel good about this, you can work ahead. You can pause and do them, but I'm going to go through these. Okay? So, this one's already equal to 0. So, we have A is 1, B is negative 6, C is 9. And we go ahead. B squared minus 4AC. So, B squared minus 4AC. And we have to be careful here. This is probably one of the most critical parts. You have to put it in your calculator in parentheses if you're going to use a calculator. It is negative 6 times negative 6, which is positive 36. And when people make mistakes on that one, it's because they write negative 36 down. You have to understand this in your calculator and this in your calculator are 2 different answers. Okay, we have to do the one with the parentheses, not that one. Okay. Well, multiply these three together. Negative 4 times 1 times 9, that's negative 36. And 36 minus 36 is 0. So I have a 0 there. That means I'm going to have one solution. Okay. For number 4, do not start the problem if it doesn't say equals 0. So first, minus 3a on both sides. Those are gone. And now I need to write this in order. So I have 5a squared minus 3a minus 68. Okay, so my a is 5, my b is negative 3, my c is negative 68. And we plug it in. B squared, so negative 3 squared minus 4 times 5 times negative 68. Well, remember again, that whole scenario, negative 3 squared is negative 3 times negative 3. That is 9. And then I have to multiply these three together. Negative 4 times 5 times negative 68. And I get positive 1,360. Add these together, I get positive 1,369. That is a positive value. I know I'm going to get two solutions. I don't know what they are, but I know there's going to be two of them. Okay. What I want you guys to do is go ahead and pause the video and complete these two on your own. All right, number 5 is done. A is 4, B is negative 5, C is negative 24. So let's plug it in. We should have negative 5 squared minus 4 times 4 times negative 24. Well, negative 5 squared, remember that whole deal we talked about. You have to, if you're using a calculator, you have to put the negative 5 in parentheses. Negative 5 squared is positive 25. Then I need to multiply those three out. So negative 4 times negative 24. And I get 384. Add the 25 to that. And we got square root of 409. Okay, so this one has two solutions. The last one, you got to make it equal to 0 first. So plus 2x on both sides. I'm going to get 8x squared plus 2x plus 12 equals 0. A is 8, B is 2, C is 12. We plug it in. B squared minus 4 times 8 times 12. Well, 2 squared is 4. And then I got to multiply those three. So negative 4 times 8 times 12. I get negative 384. Oops. I subtract these and I get negative 380. That is a negative. I have 0 solutions. Okay. And they can just write no real solutions. Okay. So those are the three types that we're going to see where you have two solutions. You're going to have one solution. You're going to have no real solutions on your worksheet today. So let's go ahead and make sure you do that worksheet on Cami. Also, make sure that you are taking a selfie of your notes. Okay, so and attach that to Google Classroom. Do not forget to click the turn in button. Been doing a pretty good job. Let's just make sure we finish strong here. All right. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. And I truly do hope to see you guys soon. Bye.